Three, two, one. Hello, world. I don't really have anything I wanted to say, but I wanted to show up and make the attempt anyway to keep this initiative alive and do it again tomorrow and thereafter and thereafter and thereafter. That's the name of the game. Without attendance, there is nothing. So, if the only thing I can even do is to show up, plug in a Bluetooth microphone, and hit record and upload, I'm at least greasing the groove, right? Greasing the groove? What does that mean? Some may ask. So to grease the groove is an approach in physical fitness to get exceedingly strong through the bare minimum of necessary work, right? Because if you overdo anything, it's there then working back against you, and you're creating a sort of deficit from too much. But if you do too little, nothing. So there's sweet spots, and that's greasing the groove. Or at least that's where the groove is. To grease the groove would be to say, I'm a weakling, but I want to get good at push-ups. I want to get very proficient at push-ups. I want to be one of those guys who can just crack out 100 and it looks like it was just too damn easy for him. Well, the best place to start in terms of greasing the groove would be to work on just one single push-up, like a day, right? And this is just a framework. There's, of course, modifications, all tailored to the individual. This fictitious person I'm speaking about, if he wanted to become that proficient in push-ups, he would work on just like one push-up, right? Making that the best push-up that it could be. Or like one or three, whatever, right? Make those 1, 2, or 3 push-ups in a day. Strong, good. You don't go any further until that's like not enough, right? So you could do that each day. Or you could do that 2 days on, 2 days off. Or 2 days on, 2 days off. According to where you're at, right? You find that. And you just work on that cornerstone number. Because all the other ones are going to like build off of it, right? So you just stay there. You don't overdo it ever. But after you spend some time greasing the groove, say, I don't know, again, depending on where you're at, 3 weeks later, 6 weeks later, fuck, I'm even a stickler. I'll stick with the mode of doing something and not aiming to get any deeper into it for like sometimes several months. But anyway, once in a while, seeing how many you can do comfortably, right? So say you were greasing the groove with like 3 solid push-ups a day, or 1 push-up, or whatever, wherever you're at. And you do that 2 day on, 2 day off, or 3 days on, 2 days off, whatever, for like several months. And it's like minimal effort, right? You're spending probably less than 2 minutes in a day doing this. It's literally no time at all. But money in the bank, it gains an interest. But once in a while, see how many you can do comfortably. And then you can kind of assess there. All right. So now you got like double your number. Say you can do like 6 reasonably, like all the way there push-ups. Dial it back to like 4, right? Or go from 3 to 4, right? And you can kind of like make pyramids, right? You'd get your numbers higher and higher, and then go back down in less frequency. And the point is to not like have to like stop and spend an hour practicing something, right? Cumulatively building it. But you could do that with anything. And I'm likening that to doing this. Recording a video, vlogging, my spoken journal. That's more preferable, I suppose. But just showing up. Like I said, when I turned on the camera, I had nothing I really wanted to say. But I wanted to show up anyway. But though, that's not even entirely true, right? Yes, I did show up. And there were things I did want to say. But I don't know if it's unique to me or if it's similar with other people. If it's something I want to say in the future or whatever, by the time that point comes, I'm going to long since have forgotten what it was I wanted to say. And, you know, I could beat myself over the head with a kendo stick and say, well, why don't you write them down? And then I could take that same kendo stick and hit you over the head and say, man, I spin a lot of plates. Writing down everything that comes through my mind would fucking be so exhausting. Because my mind is, it's a chatterer, dude. It's bop, 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 bop. So, from when I wake up to when I go to bed and through my dreams, it's blobbity, blabbity, blah, blah, blah. For being so small, it seems like there's so much in there. What's that about? Yeah, I'm working on it though. I've been working on it for years. Been working on what, Charlie? Remember, you need to remember, if I'm talking to somebody, that they're not going to have all the information. So when I say something, I guess I have to say a little bit more. I already forgot what I was talking about. A rift in soliloquy. I guess the good thing about not having an audience right here with me is I can slow down and think about what I want to say. Oh, yeah, but maybe just by doing this and ranting, I will be pulling sticks, stick by stick, branches, logs, muck, and all this shit out of my cognitive dam. And when I pull out enough sticks and enough muck and enough bullshit by blah, 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 talking or writing or expelling in some fashion, oh yeah, pulling all these sticks and muck and shit out of my cognitive dam, that if I pull enough out, when I pull enough out, you know, that trickle is going to become a stream. The stream's going to eventually break through all the fucking sticks like a river wild. And then I will have taken the superlative mind dump. That's the only problem I got. I think it's like all these 10, 12, 16, 30 other little fucking fires I'm always trying to put out. The real problem is my brain needs to take a shit. It's backed up. I haven't eaten enough fiber. Or I've been eating too much fiber. I don't eat a lot of fiber. Mostly the fiber I eat is kale, sauerkraut. That's why I'm such a sour puss. Hot salsa. Yeah, it's kind of like Lucy fiber, but it's fiber. I eat pears, apples, prunes. I love prunes. I love plums. Plums are my favorite. I bought some today. I bought some black ones. I haven't had one yet, but when I bought some, like maybe a couple months ago, they were flavorless. Totally flavorless. They must have been grown out of season or something. Icky, yucky, cockadookie. I spit it from my mouth. I almost said unfit for a rodent's mouth. I don't know. I guess I've gotten into the habit of putting, what do you call those things? A bit in my mouth. Put a harness on my tongue. Keep my lips sealed. I do that. I withhold a lot of remarks, comments, opinions, ideas, commentary. But why? Oh, with good reason. Because in the past, I would just let any old damn thing come out of my mouth, and it usually led to a typhoon. Some very stormy weather. Bad things, you know. So, I suppose one day I decided to put the bridle on the tongue and first examine what the fuck it was that was about to come out of my mouth. And let me tell you, that was no easy thing to do. Why? Well, then I knew not why, but in retrospect, I'd say it's highly likely that these words, these phrases, whatever the hell I was saying, would just like jump out of my mouth. They were almost involuntary. So when I started putting the brakes on that, or practicing putting the brakes on that, yeah, just say it didn't come natural. I had to work at it, and it's exhausting, especially if you're a person who's got countless comments or moods or complexities, stuff like that. That's exhausting. So it's a really good thing I'm here taking this cognitive shit, cognitive dump, cognitive dookie. Defecation. Yeah, certainly. Of all the things that come out of my mouth, that's what it would be, huh? Turd. But I guess at the very least, all this mental turd could become very good fertilizer. The best things grow in the worst shit. True that. You know, that sounds good to hear. That sounds good to say. Feels good to say. Sounds good to hear. Truly, I'd like to believe it. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. No, I say I definitely do believe it. But the thing is, it's so easy to slip out of that perspective and fall back into some kind of fucking default mode. And losing the fucking autonomy that we carved out for ourselves. Gaining ground, losing ground. Fucking strategy. Few steps back, more steps forward. Few steps back, more steps forward. Few steps back, more steps forward. My nose is whistle. I have a hard time getting air through my right nostril because it's broken. It's been broken. I broke it long ago and did nothing about it. I was over at a friend's house. His name was Wayne. And some of my other friends were there. Another one, Jason. Maybe a Brian. But there we were, jumping on a trampoline. Probably like 15-ish, give or take. Probably more like 13, 15 maybe, somewhere in there. Jumping on a trampoline together in Wayne's backyard. And I do a front flip. And I smash my fucking nose into Jason's bony ass hip. Totally smashed my face with all my weight into it. And I remember, eyes welling up with tears. Cannot see. I remember grabbing my nose and just wiggling it a little left and right to like assess. And it up here where the cartilage is, it sounded like fucking sand in a balloon packed real tight and groping it. It's like that's a difficult sound to describe. If I didn't do it well, I owe you an sorry. That sounded like a Rickyism. Yeah, man, all sorts of stuff up there. I spent some time with the Trailer Park Boys. When I get into things, I usually get into them all the way, right? So, just since I brought it up, Trailer Park Boys, right? I started watching that really early on when it was just on the Canadian Broadcasting Channel. And got to see them develop to where they are today. And I like long-term things like that because you really just get to see people developing, gaining in character, exploring ideas, playing with ideas. What are they coming up with? They always have some kind of content, right? And you just get to see this deep rabbit hole of like exploration. And that's, especially why I love series like Star Trek. You get, like Next Generation, right? Was that got like 7 seasons, and each season has like 20 episodes, and each episode's about 45 minutes or an hour, and then there's the occasional hour and a half special, and they're just deep, deep, deep rabbit holes. You get to experience these long, detailed, complex, gradual unfolding of story and circumstance and situation. You get to experience so much that way. You get to be there, so to speak, in the room with the character, feel for them. And, vicariously, you are sort of self-exploring too. What do I feel in this situation? In Star Trek, they are very good storytellers. Very good. You need not be a science fiction fan to benefit from the philosophical exploration that is Star Trek, right? Because what do you got in any movie? Situations, circumstance, setbacks, overcoming the thing, denouement, credits roll. So you can learn stuff in any sort of genre. But my favorite is especially, well, I can't say I have a favorite, but these are my favorite. I really like Next Generation. I really like Enterprise. I really like Voyager with Kate Mulgrew. Wonderful. And I really like DS9. I feel like it's kind of underrated, right? I don't know why I feel that, but I feel like that. It's a fucking good one. DS9 is great. Deep Space Nine. I watched a lot of those episodes with my cousin this past year. So I've got to go through that one more than I have the other ones. Because I went through all the other ones but once. Because it takes months and months and months and months to fucking get your way through a season. Let alone all of them. 7, 8, whatever. And I'm glad I saw them in the order that I did see them in. I saw Next Generation on TV when I was a kid, but it was like over my head. I couldn't grasp what was going on. And I just changed the channel. I never paid it much mind. But one day after work, years ago, when I was landscaping, new guy started working there. His name was Justin. Super fucking cool guy. Super fucking cool. He was into all sorts of awesome stuff. But I started hanging out with him, and I was over at his house. We were just chilling in the living room, and he had a TV going on in the background, and we were shooting the shit. And it was Enterprise. Enterprise is a more modern, in the past 20 years, rendition of Star Trek, another Star Trek series, right? And I was like, what the fuck is this? It was so intriguing, all the stuff I was seeing. I was seeing lizard men hanging out in castle rooms with like the Secret Service, the SS, Nazis, Nazi lizard people. And the crew from Enterprise has, for whatever reason, by whatever means, found themselves in like the early 1940s when the Nazi regime was a serious threat, and they had to thwart them and throw up a bulwark and say, no way, motherfuckers. But the presentation of it was great. It captivated me. It's like, I want to know what this is. He said it's Star Trek. I was like, that's fucking Star Trek? This doesn't remind me of Picard. But I went home. I found it online. I gorged on it. I watched every episode. Fucking spectacular. I felt like it scratched an intellectual tickle in my mind, My mind always needs something to grapple with. I can't help it. I got to bounce from one thing to another. I got to bounce from yoga to weightlifting to Pilates to calisthenics to reading to changing books to changing topic to changing poetry to take a break from reading to meditate more, meditate less, do more conscious breathing, a vlog, or my diary. Jeez. But a lot of these things I just mentioned, those are grooves I grease. Truly they are. I didn't pick up all these habits, practices, and was immediately proficient or good or spectacular or skillful in any of the things that I now do. But by greasing the groove and showing up and putting a little bit of time into the thing, it develops, right? So, like yoga, I only started doing that like for 10 minutes. I'd find some YouTube video, follow along thing. 10 minutes, like maybe a couple times a week. And, here I am 10 years later and I can do like a full on back bend wheel pose. I can do deer pose. My pigeons are decent. I prefer to spend lots of time in down dog, and I practice up dog often, always. Often, always. Always, often I do it. Yeah. What else do I do? Sometimes cat grabs its tail. Yoga. Oh, but and I did the same, but I only put like minimal time into it, right? Doing a 10-minute video like 3 times a week. And then I started like, okay, so like I'm doing this a few times a week. Let me fill in those odd days with something else. I'll do Pilates. And I started off the same way, except Pilates was like so fucking hard. Especially even some of the beginner stuff was hard. But I'm a clever bird because I had the idea to search Pilates for old people, senior citizens and shit. So I started with the old people videos. And then after I did that for like a few months and it wasn't no thing, then I got into beginner stuff. But even then, I had to find beginner videos that were the level of beginner I was, because a lot of it was so beyond me. So, but the internet is big and there's so many options. If you spend but a moment looking, you'll find your range of comfort and ability and capability. And so I alternate between yoga and Pilates, doing mostly like when I'm doing yoga, I focus more on chest opening and opening my belly. Because that's why I use this thing too, is because I fucking slouch so much. And my shoulders, like from a lifetime of bad postures, they just roll in and then my whole spine caves in on itself. And got the scoliosis, which means I got a crooked ass back. And that's one of the driving forces of why I pick or choose to do Pilates and yoga, right? Because I got to keep this clay, I got to keep it soft. Got to keep it soft. I cannot solidify like some of these old motherfuckers I see. No fucking way. Ain't happening. I'm going to be jiggly as a putty. Power Rangers. Whenever I think about Power Rangers or remember Power Rangers, I always immediately think of my friend Jesse. He's gung-ho for Power Rangers too. He knows more about Power Rangers than I do. I don't know much, but I know enough to have a way too long conversation about Power Rangers. I like the white Power Ranger. Yeah, I like the green one. Same guy. And who didn't have the hots for Kimberly? The Pink Ranger. Gorgeous. She looked like she smelled like bubble gum. That Asian girl is all right too. I don't know her name. Jason, Billy, those guys were cool. And I even like in movies and shows or books or anything, plays, anything. I like bad guys, quote unquote, who are lovable, right? Like, it's hard not to like Bulk and Skull. Those guys were so cool. And honestly, like, back then, I probably would have chose to hung out with those guys in that school than, go and get in fights with all these fucking pig monsters. Well, I mean, if I think about it, who had the heart to even stand face to face with like a giant pig monster or any of the other monsters, right? You got to have stomach for that. Got to. Got to. Because, right? So check it out. Compared to man, there's a lot of scary things that exist in the world that are not as much as a threat as we would make them necessarily, right? So, example, clarify. Say you're in the jungle, right? And there's like a fucking tarantula. It's bigger than a dinner plate. That thing bites you in the foot. You're not near a doctor. You got no medicine. You're going to lose your foot, sort of thing. Like, you would want to watch out, obviously, where you step so you didn't get bit. But if you were squaring off with this thing, right, although you wouldn't want to do it, and it could be dangerous, you got so much size and intelligence to work with that you can wipe this thing out. You just take your foot and commit to one fucking hard blow and stomp them right in the back and break them in half, right? What was the point in all that? I knew there was a thread to it. Oh, that there's threats that can be threats, but if you apply yourself to neutralizing the threat, you can do that. I believe that. Not only do I believe it, I know it. And I believe it because I know it. That's the only way you could believe something. Right? Because how would you define belief? I wouldn't be open. And like, this isn't me like taking a position. This is me. I at least know this about myself. How like reflexive I am, how knee-jerk reaction. Like I was talking about earlier with my like loose cannon mouth. Like things just jump out of me. Damn, there goes the thread again. I'll find it. It's big in there. Until then, we can take a moment of silence. Oh, I know these things through experience. There's all sorts of things that I was afraid to do, but then found a way to do it, and now I got new boundaries to transcend. You transcend old boundaries, and then there's new ones to transcend. And I guess the ultimate goal would be to transcend all of them, right? But there's so many more than we would want to acknowledge. But I think it could be done. I think it could be done. Right? Because if you follow enough branches back from their tips back to the trunk that they come out of, you can narrow down many problems to one big problem. And then you can start finding your way down that problem and getting into the roots and then dealing with that. But a lot of that work, our shadow self, some people call it. I'm not going to try to throw too many bunny ears. I wouldn't want that to become a habit. People might think I'm gay. I lost my thread again. But you know what? I have to be gracious with myself. Because I want this to be a space for me just to give me room up here. And I have to always surrender to what is the best way, or the easiest way, or the most simplistic way. What is the path of least resistance with this, right? Because when I began considering doing this, what I was hesitant about was, I guess I was unconsciously like aligning what I thought my video should be with the sort of content I watch, right? Because all the content I watch is very good. These people have been doing it for a while. They're very entertaining. They teach me a lot. I'm in debt to them for many of the things I've learned, all these people. But I don't watch too many videos like this, so I guess I never really thought about it. I guess I just unconsciously assumed that I should some way mimic that stuff. But maybe I shouldn't mimic something. Maybe I shouldn't come to the table with a loaded topic. Maybe I should just spit something out and then we can examine it together. Because I admit, about most things, I haven't a clue. There's a few things I have skill in, but there's a whole lot more I don't know. I sure would like to be like a Pee Wee Herman sort of character. Guy's my hero. And for the rest of my life, I will love a bike and ride it. And that will be my honor to Paul Rubens. I see a cardinal out there. Very bright red bird. Well, I suppose this video is long, almost 40 minutes. Come on, who's gonna listen to this? Well, Charlie, this video ain't for them. This is for you. This is for me? Yeah. Huh. I don't think I've ever been given such a gift. I accept it. Thank you.